Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
I know. Yeah, it's weird. So they're connected, but they're not working. So I'm just gonna leave them out.
Okay.
So,
Merry Christmas. I mean, it's
Merry
almost
Christmas to
there.
you.
Nice tree.
You
Wow.
too. I saw yours in the background there.
Yeah, exactly. My girlfriend did it. I didn't do anything.
Oh, well, you know.
She did a great job.
It's festive.
Well, thank you for doing this, Amy.
Yeah. Thanks
So,
for inviting me. I'm honored. I
oh
appreciate
no,
it.
no, please, of course, I'm honored. So first, I wanted to actually have a quick intro on who you are and how you got to get the job of being editor in chief for Ultra Running magazine. What were you doing before that?
Sure. So my background originally, I graduated with a degree in English, and then became I got involved with a small advertising agency here in Bend, Oregon,
Okay.
where I'm based out of. And I was there for probably about a little over 10 years. Did everything from, kind of assistant project management to copy editing, some copywriting.
Okay.
During that time, I ended up getting connected with a writer with Outside Magazine, Tim
Yeah.
Neville.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow he was kind enough to hand off an adventure advisor column that he was writing online. And so I started writing that.
Okay. So
That was years.
you knew from the start that you wanted to be, I mean, in the media, but also
Yes.
you wanted to be on the writing side. You wanted
Yes.
to be a
Yes.
journalist. Okay.
Yes. So I was doing that for a handful of years while I was also full time. It was, it was a lot of work
Yeah.
at the time, but ended up really enjoying my writing, and then worked in marketing for a while after that, and then ended up working for a small regional magazine as copy editor, and
Okay.
then decided I really enjoyed that. And during that time, I was also writing for Alternative Magazine.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah, as a writer, and then was offered the position in 2018. So, yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So, editor, writer.
Did you start running in college, in high school? Were you always passionate about running? Because I was not.
Yeah.
I was a soccer player and a tennis player for many
Okay.
years, and then I
Okay.
went to college, and my parents forced me to go to law school, and I was like, I don't want to go to law school, so I was skipping class,
Oh
and
no.
and yeah, and I mean the only sport that I could do because all my friends were in college too, I couldn't play tennis anymore, and I couldn't play soccer
Right.
anymore, so I started running. That's how
Oh,
I
okay.
began running. Right.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Actually, I started running well, my dad was a runner, and so he was running marathons when I was really little, and so we used to travel on the weekends, and so I kind of picked that up, um, and played basketball, but really didn't like basketball and gravitated towards running. So I was playing basketball, but trying to go run, so I ran cross country in high school, and then ran for 1 year in college, and then decided to start running marathons after I graduated.
Oh, and then
So
you got the bug in the marathons. And then
yes.
after your first marathon, you were like, oh, I can do more. I can do.
Well, that took a few years. I went to Boston in 2008, ran that, and then I was like,
Oh.
okay, now what? And now it was time for more. So yeah,
And
yeah.
so are you from Bend? Are you from Oregon
I
originally?
am from Oregon. I'm from Salem, Oregon. So I went to college in Montana at Montana State in Bozeman,
Okay.
and then my boyfriend at the time, now husband, and I moved back to Bend because it was kind of in 2000. It was kind of this tiny little town that was,
Yeah.
ski town, but still
Yeah.
quiet. Now it's big.
That's bigger, yeah. Oh, is it a ski
Yeah.
town? I didn't know that.
What's Yeah, so we've got Mount Bachelor, and
Oh.
that's kind of our draw for tourism.
So you guys can like literally ski in the weekends? Like
Yeah,
how far are
it's
you?
like 45 minutes from our house,
That's good.
but it's gotten so crazy that the drive is a lot longer because it's so
Oh,
crowded. It's only one way up there. So yeah.
oh yeah, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's kind of my background.
That's interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was wondering, because I don't only work for you, obviously, and I don't only work in the ultra running sphere. I just do regular running also. And I was just
Right.
wondering, I mean, I'm passionate about ultra running and I've been for a long time, but I'm just wondering how from your perspective, how is the industry, how is the sport doing? Is there more ultra runners than ever? Because to my knowledge, a few years back, after I started running UTMB, like several years after, I saw a boost. Like everybody wanted to do UTMB, at least in Europe, and it became so trendy to be an ultra runner. And a lot of those people were fantasizing about UTMB in general, but not really realizing that to become a successful ultra runner, not to get injured quickly, it has to become a lifestyle. And a lot of people were just embracing it as a trend. And I'm just wondering, what's your take on that? Is it today, do we have a more established community that's bigger, that's more serious, with people more dedicated than ever? Or is it just a little trend among the vast majority of regular runners?
Right. So I think that we're seeing a little bit of both still. So with the pandemic, I think people really kind of took hold of the sport.
Right.
And there was a lot of new people in the sport. I mean, personally,
sorry, when you say the sport.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ultra running. And I will speak about trail running as well, but ultra running is my focus. So, you know,
but I want to make a difference in running and ultra running. To me, in running, I put road running and trail running in it, but the distances are shorter, right? And ultra running could be also trail running.
Right. Correct. Running, right? And it could be road running. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, so we're talking about the sport of ultra running, correct?
Right.
Okay. So ultra running in general, I believe, from what I've seen over the past couple of years, even personal experiences during ultras when I've been running, there's people who, you know, they're brand new to the sport. It's great because we have that wave of interest of younger, you know, we're more visible in the national, regional, national, and international media. Because of the things that are happening in the sport, right? So I believe that there's a group of new ultra runners who want to go run 100 miles. Okay, maybe that's their end goal. I don't know. So there's this one and done type of thing where I want to go run 100 miles, and then we're also seeing though are the people that have been in the sport for, you know, a handful to quite a few years who are still at it, who are still going strong. So I think that there's, I was at Javelina this year and I saw a mix of both. It was interesting.
But do you think it's growing in terms of numbers?
I do. Yes, I do. I think that it's growing still. And I think that while our data that the magazine keeps shows that finish numbers are down this year, it's still growing as numbers go. So people are more interested, but they're not finishing as much as before. Yes, correct. Yeah. Which, you know, and that there is also more races out there, and so the number of races is also growing, and that's a given as far as our data has shown. But those finishing rates are down. So
your data is purely North America, or is it more worldwide?
Yes, just North American, correct.
And so you agree to say that the 100-mile is the distance that everybody dreams about?
You know, I mean, it could be, I want to go do a 50K. You know, I've run a marathon. I want to go do a 50K. Based on their experience, maybe they have their sights set on 100 miles, and then they're after the 50K, they're like, screw that, I'm not going to go run 100 miles. That was too hard. But I think there are the people out there, majority of endurance athletes, who say, you know, I want to go do that 100-mile distance. So that's, you know, what I
think in Europe, it's the same thing. Everybody who's interested in the sport, and again, we're talking about running, wants to tick that box of the 100-mile, you know, and back in the days, it used to be UTMB because UTMB was so much more accessible. Like the registration process was so much easier.
Right.
And it was the number one race, and everybody still kind of the number one race, but it was already very iconic and everybody wanted to do that one. But now, and I think it continues actually, both the 100 miles and both the UTMB. But we'll talk about UTMB a bit. A bit. So back to what Ultra Running Magazine does. What are the things that you have done with this magazine, and where's this magazine going? And this question I want to, it's an important question for both of us who work in this industry.
Right.
As we're seeing a lot of print magazine go down,
right.
As we are seeing a lot of media not really making the conversion into digital in the way that it's successful.
Right.
I don't know here. I don't want to talk about what's happening here in America because I don't know so much. But in Europe, a lot of media companies have shut down because either they didn't have the people to be able to make that transition. Like, they were great writers, but they were not from the digital age, and they didn't know how to handle it. They didn't know how to convert, right? So where is Ultra Running Magazine going in that matter?
Right. So we started in 1981. So we've been around for, over 40 years.
Myth.
And in the past, I would say in the past 5 to 10 years, there's been that obvious digital, uptick as far as, content on websites being more accessible and not wanting to pick up. Not everybody wants to pick up that print magazine monthly. Mm-hmm. I want to go online and read it right now. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. So as a magazine, when I came on as editor, I was pretty aware of that situation, but also wanting to improve the print version of our magazine. And being improved, meaning just, be the best editor that I can be and make sure the layout, I have background in layout as well. The layout is appealing to the reader because, who wants to pick up a print magazine that doesn't look or have interesting stories, right? So I started a podcast that came down maybe a year or two after I came on as editor. So we started the podcast. We also picked up a number of new columnists, and that's kind of an ongoing thing. We always try to, pick up people who are excited about the sport, who have background in the sport of ultra running, who, have expertise in the sport. So, because we want to educate our runners.
And I think that's something that differentiates you from the rest is you have very strong names. Yeah. Like the names that are in your, how do you call that part where you put all the names together?
The masthead.
Yeah. I mean, some of those names are incredibly known.
Yeah. And it's because we have a relationship with those writers, and, there's a history there. And so
absolutely,
it's important to us to maintain that relationship.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
And so you have that podcast.
We have the podcast that we started. We picked up a new host. I was hosting it for a while. We picked up a new host, Scotty Sandow from the Ultra Runner podcast, original duo of Eric Schrantz and Scotty, back from 2011. And then, so he's been hosting our podcast. We're also working on our website and kind of more exposure for the magazine. What are, we have a small staff. It's very, very, very small. And so there's only so much that we can, pump out. But we all do numerous jobs. And right now we're working on kind of putting our name out there a little more, becoming a little more savvy on the digital side of things. And hopefully that website will follow along with that.
I mean, what I appreciate, and it's a little thing.
It's a continuous, go ahead.
No, sorry. No, I mean, I just wanted to say what I appreciate, and you said it, and I think it's a very simple thing, but it's extremely efficient, is to be able to get the magazine online.
Yeah. Yep.
Be able to just download it and read it, get it on my computer.
Right. Right. And it's, with our kind of our setup right now, we release a couple of our articles from each issue, but we don't release the entire thing online. So our readers still have that, they still get that entire magazine to themselves. It doesn't go online, so you can't just go read it. It's our subscription, base. So yeah.
There's another magazine here that I subscribe to and that I enjoy getting is, and I'm sure you've heard of it, it's called Surfer's Journal.
Oh yeah.
Right, Surfer's Journal is very beautiful. Year, and you get it, and it's just like this beautiful product.
Right?
So yeah, okay. So now maybe the I was going to say the most upsetting question of all, but I think it's actually the most. It's kind of it's a very interesting question. It's what's really happening, and it's a driving force in our sports is the what's happening with the UTMB World Series.
Yeah.
I mean, you know as much as I do. I was there in 2003 when they started the UTMB. And I followed that event every year on the ground, at least the first 10 years. So now they're expanding in the US. For some reason, I have a feeling that you have something to say on the subject. Like for some reason, I have a feeling that you're not a fan. Am I mistaken?
It's, it's not so much my being a fan. It's a how do I put it? We're a North American magazine and we cover North America. So giving one race like UTMB attention as opposed to another, international race, it's just harder for us to do. You've been really great about covering it in our magazine for us, and that's been awesome. Given that a lot of eyes have shifted in that direction, I've kind of, making the decision on what to cover and how to cover it, especially now that those races are in the US. Again, we cover the North American races on a regular basis. So, so yeah, it's not that I'm not a fan. It's just that I'm kind of trying to figure out how to navigate that whole situation.
Yeah, and it's not easy because UTMB is making so much noise.
Right. And it's from every direction. So it's like, why do we want to continue to, add to that noise where, everybody can find out what's going on?
No, it's a very good point. Yeah. But it's also hard not to discuss it, or at least
it is
podcast, or because so much is happening,
Right.
And they're acting like they own the world. They're acting like they are number one brand, and they're acting like, everybody should follow them, and the best runners. Hang on. Hey, sorry, she wants to be on the podcast. She's a little rescue chihuahua, and she's very vocal and very.
Oh no, I love it.
Has to be on the podcast all the time.
Very sweet.
All right, sweet. Yeah, I mean the best. I mean Jim Walmsley is going there. He lives in France. He chose to live in France just for this. Right. So it's also kind of a big deal. And I hear what you're saying, but it's also hard not to mention it one way or another, right? But also, I think my question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you froze for a second. You're good.
Sorry. No, I think my question is also about how, like, is it upsetting for someone like you who has a good view of the history of the sport, how they try to monopolize the attention, how they try to say, all right, we are the number one brand, and we are a brand, and the rest is just like, well, because it's kind of their voice. That's my opinion.
People can go out and obviously they have that ability to go out and make that statement that they're the number one brand, and then they can go, purchase the races that they've purchased, which I think is up to 35. I saw 27, but then I saw 35.
Yeah, I think that's globally 34 possibly. Events now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so, they're making a statement, which is great. And I think they're trying to create something that works, which is great. People want to go to France. They got to figure out a way to appease everybody and try to make it happen. And if their, method works, then I guess we'll all find out. It seems to be, a very difficult process, but I also feel like that kind of stuff, those races will be for some people, and then the rest of the world, the rest of the US, in my view, will have the races, the rest of the world, but the rest of the races will have their own,
but what's a bit scary, and I'm really not sure it's going to happen, but the thing is, it has happened with Ironman races. Before Ironman took over the entire planet, and now there is Ironman and there is Challenge, but that's about it, because every single local race of triathlon I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're aware of the fact, but they pretty much have disappeared, or they have a hard time being sustainable.
Right.
That was not the case 20 years ago, but
Right.
Ironman has become such a strong label
Our
that
connection's
people
bad.
today, when they turn into the sport, they don't think twice. They say, okay,
Sorry, Gail, you froze up again.
oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
You're there now. You're back.
okay.
Sorry.
So I'm just saying, people now, when they get into the sports of triathlon, their aim is to run an Ironman.
Right.
And Ironman today owns UTMB, or I mean,
Right.
co-owns UTMB. So
Right.
does that mean? And I don't think that's what it means, but it's a question. Like, are we
Right.
going to see the disappearance of smaller races because they won't have sponsors? Because all of the sponsors, what do they want? They want like media attention, right?
Right.
And so they would go to the bigger races that are being owned by UTMB/Ironman.
Yeah.
It's a concern also, maybe. I don't know.
Is it? No, it is. It's a valid concern, and I totally agree. I do think that there is a bit of desire for the people in the sport, and there's enough of us that want to maintain a culture, and I think there's enough race directors who also want to maintain that culture.
Yeah.
That I don't, who knows, but in the next 10 years, I still don't think that that's going to be the case. It'll be interesting because it'll probably all depend on how well these races that are bought by UTMB do at least in the US or globally, and how well they're attended. Because I just, that's where it's gonna kind of, I think, matter.
I think a good one to monitor would be canyons.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I did canyons in 2018.
You did?
Sorry, 2019, before it was bought. And it was a great race. I loved it because I could get on the Western States course and get some experience before doing Western States. And so we'll see. I saw that they just purchased Grindstone on the East Coast and then Desert Rats.
Yeah.
So there's enough races out there right now, but we'll just see how those continue to evolve in the future.
Yeah. So you ran Western State? How many times?
I did in 2019. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's still a dream, huh? This race.
Yeah, it's I started going to the race in 2016 to pace and crew, and fell in love with everything, and just as a pacer and a crew, and ran in 2019, and I just feel like it was probably the best of all the worlds combined, and it just went really well. So I don't know if I want to run it again because it was so great. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was a great experience. So yeah.
Have we, I say we because Ultra Running Magazine, I'm honored to contribute, but have an interview of Jim Walmsley recently, or because again, I want to go back to this about what he's trying to do at UTMB. I mean, no other men have done it, and also not many American runners, I'm sure he's not the only one, but have decided to leave America, go live in the country of the race to be able to win that race. I mean, that's such a strong commitment, and it's very interesting. I mean, it's so unique and very interesting. Is he hard to approach? To me, he's very hard.
Frozen again.
Okay, sorry. No, so I don't know where I got cut, but I was just saying the Jim Walmsley situation, it's interesting. Have you talked to him recently? Do you guys plan to have an interview with him? Because it's going to be this year, or maybe not never, but almost after this year, he's coming back to the US. So if he doesn't succeed at UTMB, he may not ever come back,
Right. The last time we interviewed him was for Ultra Run of the Year, which was last February, I believe. Okay. And so it will be, we will have to catch up with Jim soon. And I can't, obviously predict what Ultra Run of the Year is going to be quite yet, because we're at the end of the voting period right now. Mm-hmm. Today's the last day. So whether we interview him, he wins Ultra Run of the Year and we interview him then, or if we interview him later, it'll definitely be coming.
But is he playing hard to get?
Jim?
Yeah.
Jim? No.
No.
You mean as far as interviews and stuff?
Yeah.
I don't believe so. I think that we could probably secure an interview with him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We haven't tried. So he's off in France doing his
Yeah.
his daily skis and workouts. So yeah.
Is he shy? Is he a little
Jim?
shy? Yeah.
No, he's actually a really, really humble, down to earth person that I've talked to him, I've interviewed him before, and he's definitely a really just open and honest person. I've enjoyed talking to him in the past. So
Okay.
yeah.
He's not shy. No. Okay.
No, he's quiet, but he's not shy.
Quiet. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's the feedback that I'm getting from French people.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, he's
Okay.
very shy. But I guess it's the language barrier.
Yeah, and it could be a perception that he's shy. He's just very, you know, low key and quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so as he's getting a lot of attention and
Right. Right. Exactly.
French are
Exactly.
going crazy. I mean, the fact that he lives in France and he shows
Oh, I
up
bet.
at races,
Yeah.
they just all wanna, he's a star. I mean,
Yeah. And here he was, he could sit back in Arizona and just kind of chill and hang out and go run. And now he's living in France. So
yeah.
quite a change, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear your American perspective on why is it so difficult to register for the 100 mile, for some of the most famous 100 miles, including, of course, Hard Rock and Western State. The process is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But I mean, do you support it when you say you agree? I mean, okay, it's a fact.
No, I agree. It's crazy. I obviously you've got two races, Hard Rock and Western States, that allow what Hard Rock allows 150, 100 and some 50 some runners, and Western States allows 369.
Right.
That's not a lot per year. So you've got a lot of interest of new people. You've got a lot of interest of people who still want to run it again. And that just continues to go up and up and up. And so, ultra runners, Scotty Mills ran Hard Rock when he was 70, and, or 69, I can't remember, but he did it 10 times. And so we can continue to keep doing what we're doing for a really long time. And I think that's what makes us so unique. And that means our age groups, we've got a lot of older crowd, ultra runners continuing to run these races.
Right.
It just builds.
Yeah, I know, but it's such a frustrating process.
It is. It is. I was at the lottery this year at Western States Lottery, and it makes it really exciting for people to get in because it's so hard to get in. Yeah. So I don't know. It's a frustrating process, and I can't determine how that can change just because of the number of spots. There's more races that are happening, like Canyons on the west. They're going to do a 100-miler on the course. I know Hard Rock. Yeah, Hard Rock they've got Ouray 100, and I want to say there's another 100 on that course in that area. But there's other races for sure. So
yeah, I think that's the solution. To come up with a different name of different races, but on the same type of area.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's not an easy, I don't know. I don't know if there's an easy solution. I remember back when, again, sorry, because I'm from Europe, so it was UTMB for us. But back when UTMB started, you just register online, and and when there were no more spots available, there were no more spots available.
Right.
But I remember it as a very nice era because the first time I finished the UTMB, I had never run 100-mile before.
Right.
And this idea that to be able to run those 100-mile races, you have to run other 100 miles or other 100Ks, but at a fast pace, is a bit, it's frustrating.
Yeah. And I think that,
but I don't have the solution. So
right. And Western States is trying to make it easier for people to get into the lottery without having to do that qualifier every single year to build up tickets, which I think is great, because I think that that's a little intense for people to continue to run a qualifier every single year.
Yeah, because that means that you have to embrace ultra long distance in your lifestyle for years and years and years before you have the chance to qualify.
Right.
Which is a bit unfair. I mean,
it is, because that doesn't give you a year off, really, because then you would lose your tickets, right?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I mean, I understand that you have to be committed to the sport somehow, but it's too intense. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
So
okay.
yeah, I don't have the solution,
Right. No,
but
I guess nobody has.
right. And we can only see how the sport's going to evolve based on the growth of not only new runners, but also the growth of this UTMB organization. And
Yeah.
it'll just be interesting to see where it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that there's profoundly something that comes in opposition with what running is, this
Right.
idea of freedom and simplicity,
Yeah. Fortunately, I feel like there are a lot of races that are still popping up. We've got a new one here in Bend that's a 100-mile race that's a qualifier for Western States that just started a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
There's new ones popping up all over. So I think there's opportunities to go do different. And that's what I appreciate about the sport is I can go run a beautiful trail in a different state and have the same experience, really. So
yeah, you're right. That's a very good point. So I think you were at the running event.
Yes, I was.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what you saw? Is there anything exciting coming in terms of gear?
Sure. I didn't really see anything, groundbreaking. But I did notice a trend in shoes where a lot of what we saw were deemed the gravel shoe. So when you look at mountain biking versus road biking, the gravel is the hybrid, right? So we saw a lot of hybrid trail road shoes that are coming up. So that, and a lot of older brands that are coming out with some really cool new shoes as well. New trail shoes.
Can we see them?
Like like Saucony.
Okay, yeah.
We saw a cool shoe there. Merrell's really bumping up their
nice
trail section. They're coming out with some sky racing shoes. Yeah, I mean, there was some older brands that seem to really be kind of taking the trail running shoe by just, focusing their energy on that in that area. So that's kind of cool.
Okay, interesting because Merrell is an older brand.
Yeah.
The running shoes, the trail running shoes that I remember from Merrell are from the minimalism era.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know if they have continued after that to do trail running shoes personally, but
so I've tested a couple of their models over the past few years and they've got a really great shoe. I think what they're trying to do is get a little more aggressive with the tread and go into that sky racing and maybe be a little more competitive with brands like Salomon. So that's exciting. No, nothing really like groundbreaking that I
but that's an interesting trend. Okay, any trend in the backpacks or in the
what we saw, I know Salomon's got a new S-Lab vest coming out, so they're updating that, so that'll be cool to see and test out. We did see some new Osprey models, but theirs were just kind of little tweaks on what they have on the Duro and the Dino vests.
I
can't believe I'm pulling these names off the top of my head. But yeah, and I think that we're just going to see an improvement on models from last year in that regard.
Yeah, thank you. So hang on, let me get in here because otherwise it's going to be a mess. So I want to talk about not what happened, but what Kraft did with Tommy Rivers, because I was very impressed by how they handled everything. And I just want to say it. I think it was wonderful. And I met him at Western States actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I'm very happy to see that he was doing so much better. I mean, those pictures that were posted at some point on Instagram were extremely frightening.
Right.
The way Kraft handled it, I think was amazing from all perspective. But of course, and that doesn't take off anything from what they did. But of course, it's a very good marketing stint for them too.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But still, I mean, they supported him, and I think they continue to support him. I mean, I was just impressed by it, and to my knowledge, it's the first time. I mean, it's the first time that I'm seeing something like that in our sport, or is it the first time that you're seeing a brand like make sure that their athletes, that are supported no matter what happens. It's
yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. They took that situation and really did a great thing for Tommy. And I don't have any knowledge of any kind of similar situation. Right. Obviously, it was really touch and go with Tommy and his health, and what he went through was just, devastating, and he's recovered from that. And Kraft is still there. Kraft is still, supporting other athletes, and they're growing, I think, as a brand for sure. But the world support of Tommy, and I think Kraft just kind of jumped behind that and kind of went like this, and really, really helped out. So I think it was really impressive by a brand to see that kind of.
It was so human, and it was so smart, so nice and so smart, because in the end it was a win-win for everybody.
Right. Agreed. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how their brand continues to evolve. I've really been seeing a lot more of them lately. We did talk to them at TRE as well, and they've got some new shoes coming out. On the horizon. So
no, I just wanted to quickly, give them a little bit of space here, because they were really, that was really impressive. Okay, so the two male runners that I'm interested in right now following, and I'm like, those guys are going somewhere. It's Dakota Jones, who won Hard Rock and who's now running with the shoes of Kilian Jornet, and Hayden Ox. I'm seeing Hayden Ox on Instagram. He's training like a beast for Western States, even though he won 100K in the cold, in the snow in Australia. So those are the two runners that I'm thinking those guys are going somewhere this year. But I mean, what do you think? Do you think that they are indeed upgrading their game?
Yeah, for sure. They are definitely, I mean, Hayden getting second at Western States, and then Dakota, he's had an amazing year. I feel like he really kind of set his mind to doing something, and he did really well this year.
But Dakota is an interesting runner, because he somehow disappeared for many, many years.
He did, yeah. And in fact, who was I listening to? He had, I think it was Craig Thornley. He had a ticket to Western States back in the day, maybe 2000, maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he didn't take it. And so he finally took his ticket to Western States for next year. And it'll be interesting to see how the competition between, Hayden, Dakota, and then Adam.
And others. Yeah, and Adam, of course.
Yeah. It'll be some good competition for sure.
Yeah. So. Is there any other names that you are particularly impressed by, and maybe some women?
I mean, watching Adam this year has been really inspiring, because he's, he basically kind of wasn't sure if he was going to do Western States, and he came back and won it. Came out and won it on his debut. So
was he that was really runner before? Because I had personally never heard of him before.
No, he's from Missoula, Montana. So he's been in Montana.
Okay.
So I mean, again, Western States was his first 100-miler. So
it was
really impressive. And I guess looking at my list of top women this year, let me just look my notes here. Katie Scheid. She was, she did a really great job as well.
She's coming to Western State. Yeah.
So, I mean, the women, it'll be, because I'm seeing the same names on the women's side of things. It'll be interesting to see how things shape up this year as far as running goes, as racing goes, because we've got some really, really strong women in ultra running, and I'm
so many of them.
think what's that?
There is so many of them.
There are, and I will give you a little of my recent struggle voting for women for ultra run of the year, because there were so many amazing performances, and I mean, the men were actually quite easier than voting for the women.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I didn't have any women on the top of my head, not because I don't like women's running, but because
right.
so
No,
many of them.
there's just so many strong ones,
Yeah.
and it's a great thing to see. So
Yeah, and Caddy Scheid, I know her a little bit because Germain, her boyfriend, is kind of a friend of mine, and I've been following them,
yeah,
for a while. Caddy Scheid, of course, she won the UTMB, right? But Western
right.
States is such a different race,
Yeah,
so I don't know if she has the speed. We'll see.
yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it'll be fun to watch for sure.
Super fun to watch, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and I think I have one more last question. Yeah, it's more of a personal question. What's your dream race and why?
Well,
Maybe
I was thinking about that when you asked me. And it's funny because I don't really have a specific dream race.
Seriously,
Western.
you have no race that you like, oh my God, this race, I really want to do it?
No, my dream race is actually to have like my friends and be able to run on a really beautiful trail. Like that's kind of my dream race. Any race that's up ahead that I sign up for is really kind of my dream race. Cause I ran Javelina this year and I had always wanted to run it and I had an amazing time over there. And so that's where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to sign up for something that'll be my exciting, race of the year. And so, yeah, I don't,
So what did you sign up for in 2023? What are going to be your races?
I signed up for Black Canyon because I had so much fun in the desert that I decided I'd go back.
When is that and where is it again?
It's February.
And where?
In Phoenix, Arizona. So
yeah. Oh, that's the race.
It's a qualifier for Western States.
Okay.
And it is also a golden ticket race. So
and it's organized by Arrive by Running.
Yes. Yeah.
Isn't this guy unbelievable? Seriously? No, but I mean, I talked about it when I was talking to Brian Melzer. But I mean, if one race organizer comes to my mind here in America, it's always Jamil Coury.
Yep. Yep, they are. They're an amazing family of running, fanatics who have really put together a good team. I was super impressed by not only the organization and everything at the start finish line, but the aid stations were top notch. And I actually
from the website to were you right? I've been to Javelina once and I was impressed. Like, Jesus, this is so well done and so fun and so creative.
Yes. Yeah, it is. They make it fun. They make it fun. And they make it exciting for runners. It's definitely an amazing experience to run one of their events. So really
which Javelina did you run? The 100K or the 100 mile?
I ran the 100K. Yeah. I had originally signed up for the 100 mile, but training wasn't up to par. So ran the 100K. I could have probably continued if I went down by myself. So I went without a pacer and without a crew. So decided to do the 100K instead. Yeah.
This crew culture is so American.
Yeah, it is. I know. And, honestly, if I would prefer to do without, but
I mean, if they allow you to do it with, then why?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I've done 100K, 200Ks without pacers, without a crew. And so I haven't done a 100 mile yet without a crew or pacer. So I'm a little leery to try that, but yeah.
Are you interested in, have you heard, I mean, I'm sure you heard of it, the Grand Raid de la Réunion, the diagonal défi?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is an interesting event. Would you like to run it?
I don't know enough about it to see if I'd like to run it yet. What's the elevation and
so it's like UTMB, basically. There's a lot of elevation.
Okay.
And there's a lot of
because it's on an island, correct?
It's on an island. It's very jungly. Not like Hawaii, not like Hurt. But there's a lot of stairs. There's a lot of uneven stone stairs. Yes.
Okay.
Very hard on your knees.
Okay. Is that your dream race?
Well, I've done it once, but I want to go back because it's one of those races that it's not that hard to register.
Right.
It's for us European. It's a very ancient race. It's a myth also.
Gotcha.
It's quite hard. So it's an achievement. Yeah.
I was just talking to a friend of mine about Lavaredo, and he would like to go back and do that one. Yeah, I'd like to get over to Europe. I've never been to Europe, so I have a whole new. Yeah, I've been invited to go run the Swiss Alps 100. Yeah. So we'll see. I might make it over there. then I
Yeah.
might have a whole nother set of dream races. Who knows?
And you have to go just to check it out. You have to go check
Yes,
what UTMB is.
exactly. And that's kind of my long-term, hopefully short-term plan, but we'll see.
Well, are you going to be there next
Yeah.
August?
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh,
Oh,
here we are.
there we go.
Well, sorry.
You're back.
Are you going to go to UTMB next August?
Hopefully, yeah, I'd like to.
Nice. Okay.
So
I'll be there.
okay, yeah.
I'll be
That's, I
running
mean,
the CCC.
I've got 2 teenage kids now.
Okay.
Oh,
So they
you're
want to go
frozen
back to
again.
you.
I'll
They
keep
want to go with
talking.
you.
And it's just harder for me to, you're back, by the way.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's harder for me to escape. I had a summer full of, I've had the last couple summers full of club soccer for my son. So, so I'm hoping this year might be a little different. This summer will be
Take
a
them
little
with you.
Yeah, I know. I want to
I'm sure
actually.
they love it.
Yeah, because they're actually learning French right now, so that would be
Oh,
perfect.
no way.
Yeah.
Okay. Et vous, Amy, vous parlez français?
I do not speak French. I speak German, so sprechen Sie Deutsch. Yeah.
Okay. How come you speak German? You're from German origin?
I took German in high school and college, just because I have a dad who is half German. So
Oh, okay. Interesting.
yeah.
All right.
Just
Well, Amy, thank you so much.
yeah, thank you, Gail. It was good to talk to you.
Yeah, I wish
Good to
you,
see you again as well. And hopefully we'll meet up again at Western States, if not sooner.
yeah, I hope so. If not, in Chamonix. Bye.
Take care. Bye.